Hello, I'm Alan Malik with Patient Tools, and I wanted to give you a quick demo on how to use an EMR integrated implementation. It's actually not much to show because essentially you're automating just about everything at this point. What ends up happening is from the scheduling module within the EMR, you automatically send out essentially SIU messages is really what it comes down to. They go out to our system and say, hey, we have a patient and they're coming in for a certain type of visit and they'll be at this particular location. And between the patient's information and the type of visit and the location, we can put together and go, oh, you need this particular set of screening measures put together into a screening interview and automatically queue it up. Well, then you take that a step further, that automatically then gets launched out into our normal system, and we can show you how you pick those up in the office. Or if you are actually sending out links and say an email or a text with essentially secure connection, then the patient will pick those up and complete those on their own device and route that right back into their that data comes routing right back in, where under like an on-demand sort of situation, you would have had to manually send all that off and so forth. The other advantage here then is when the data comes back in is that instead of doing a print station, which we do under on-demand, it just automatically formats up and comes back in as lab data. So you can break down and get to specific data fields. You can get summary notes, which usually goes on the encounter tab. And then you can pull in the PDF report and just put it in as lab data or a lab document and so forth and automatically hook it up to your system. So in some place where you're actually doing remote screening from the EMR, the entire process can be completely automated. You never touch it. But let's go ahead and look at how you might use the apps inside of there as well. So if we click on the link for the apps, we go over to here are our basic workhorses here, the PTI office, the front desk, the print station, the dashboard. So let's just walk through this real quick. On the PTI office, what ends up happening is that you no longer, basically you don't normally start anything manually anymore. You actually do everything off of the launch list. So what it really comes down to is if you're launching into the office, one of the staff has to pick it up and figure out, oh, I need to do Billy demo today. And we click in and go ahead and start it up and the patient just runs from here. And it's the exact same process sort of thing. So they're just pounding through. And, the usual sort of thing, you can pause and all that kind of fun stuff. In terms of the front desk, what ends up happening is that you don't really need to do any of this sort of stuff. What you've done is you've automatically if you want to go in and search for what was that, Billy demo? Search for Billy demo. And here he is. Basically, because we've already launched them, it's no longer showing as being launched here. But all the launch sort of stuff, all the office information here, all this PHI over here is sent in with the scheduling message. So you don't have to do any sort of work on this main profile launch screen anymore. You can go to the launch list and see what's been going on. You can see if something's been done remotely or in the office. You can redirect things from here. So you can say, like, if this is launched at remote and let's say it wasn't completed yet, and we could turn around and launch that to something internal. But if you want to mess with that sort of stuff, you can do it. But most of the time, it just routes straight through. Your screening lists are available so that you can go look at data here, but you don't really need to pick up the information here anymore because that is all automatically going into the EMR and getting attached. But you could go through and research things if you wanted to and so forth. Typically, in terms of the summary text sort of thing gets sent in, usually it's something along the lines of something like this, where you get the scores and the basic information, whether something's flagged or not. And then from that, the provider can turn around and go, oh yeah, I probably need to dig in deeper. And then maybe they'll go pull up the PDF report or something like that. It's over in the lab data somewhere. But outside of that, it's really pretty straightforward. About the only other piece that you would consider doing would be the dashboard down here to go look at your aggregate data. But usually in larger systems where we're doing a full EMR integration, a lot of times it actually makes more sense to create a data warehouse. And we just, using the data exchange, we can set up transactions that will automatically populate any data that you want in your data warehouse. And so to go in and do analysis on your data, you'd probably set it up in a data warehouse and then use a separate statistical processing program like SPSS or SAS or whatever to go in and do the data analysis you do there. The dashboard stuff is still potentially useful just for watching, how our screening rates and simple sort of things that you want to do on that side. But bottom line is that EMR integration is just a much higher level of automation is what it comes down to. And in most of the operation, you can get rid of all the the manual actions, with the exception of maybe when you're doing in-office, you have to have a staff pick it up and go to the launch list and choose somebody to make sure that you're getting to the right person, identifying them properly and so forth. But outside of that, it's a completely automated system at that point, and that's the major advantage of doing the full EMR integration. So that's the end of our demo. Thank you very much for your time.